Okay, here we go for another 9-ball Scotch doubles, and they're just lagging off at the start of the match. Let's see who won the lag. Well, it's Brainfellout and Jezdev won the lag, and they're playing Smaoray and ripdash. As usual, it's a handicapped event, it's double elimination, and it's a race to 7. And let's have a quick look at the bracket and see how things are. This is the first round, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in, and we've got 2 teams who have a bye to round 2, and this is a match we're watching here. Now we can see that Brainfellout and jezdev are getting the 8-ball as a money ball, and that's their handicap that they're getting in this match. So we've got jezdev at the table. Let's find out where everybody's from. We know Smaoray's from Germany. Brainfellout is from the UK. Where's jezdev from? Let's find out. He's from the UK as well. And ripdash is from Sri Lanka. So 1 German, 2 Brits, and 1 from Sri Lanka. And remember as well, in case you haven't watched any of the videos before, this is Scotch doubles. That means that each player plays a shot in turn. So while one team's at the table, one player will shoot a ball and then get his partner onto the next ball. And that's a nice bank by jezdev. He's got his partner on the 4, who just needs to roll this in soft to leave his partner on this 5, but needs to leave an angle on it, doesn't want it to get too straight. Well, he decided to take it into the corner pocket. It was a good shot and he's got the good angle, and the only thing that jezdev needs to be careful with is he doesn't hook his partner behind that 9. That's just in an awkward place to get on this 6. Now if he hits this too hard, the cue ball's going to bounce away out, so he's got to be careful with the pace, and he's played that pretty good, I would say. And that's a nice angle just to drop the 6 in and bring the cue ball back across. You don't need to do anything with the cue ball. You'll have a nice easy shot in the 7. Well, he's got a wee bit straight. There is a slight angle there. Ideally you just want to punch this in. Again, you don't want to hit it too hard and put the cue ball in behind the 9, so he's well away from that. And this looks like an easy run out. So that 8-ball gives jezdev and Brainfellout the first rack, because they're team 1, and in the HUD you'll see up the top there, just as a reminder, that team 1 is getting the 8-ball. So they just have to get the 8-ball or the 9 in each rack to win the rack. So it looks like a fairly evenly matched 2 teams here. I wouldn't expect the highest level of play, but at the same time it's a different thing when you're playing as a partnership. You always want to do the best for your partner, so it does make these guys think a bit more, which is really what you should be doing all the time, but more so when you're playing for your partner. And Smaoray missed a kick, There's a fair bit of work to be done here if they're going to do anything this right. 5 and a 9 are the problem. 9's blocking that pocket on the right hand side. And that's what happens with these pockets, they're unforgiving. Now, what does Smaoray do here? Does he try and run through, or does he try and stun off the bottom rail and come out for that 3-ball? Well, he's done neither. He's made a wee bit of a hash in the 2, but he's got lucky. And I don't think, let's have a quick look around here, I don't think he can actually kick at that 2 because of the 7-ball. Now, ideally what he should do here is probably smack that 6-ball into those 3 balls and just give them ball in hand, because if he doesn't move any of those balls, there's a likelihood of a 3-foul attempt coming up. That's him used his 30 seconds and they're into the extension, which is just 15 seconds, and he needs to get a move on. Well, that was a good effort, but he's moved the balls, which is the first objective in that situation. You don't want to leave them the easy opportunity to try and hook in you again. So this time Ripdash has got a, well, he's decided to play the snooker again. Now that sends 2 messages to the opponents. First of all, the opponents are thinking, right, well, these guys are trying to get the 3-foul. That's the obvious one. But the other one is that all of these balls are there for the taking. They're all in the open. It'd be a matter of just running them out. And the other message that gives to the opponents is that these guys aren't confident enough to actually try and run the table. Because there goes the 3-foul opportunity. He manages to get the kick. Oh, sorry, no, he didn't hit a rail. So they're on 2 fouls. So now Smaoray and Ripdash have no option but to pot the 2 and now try the run out. And that's a really, really poor shot by Smaoray. No control in the cue ball. He needed to get a bit of right hand spin to kick away from that top cushion and out and down so he could get his partner on the 3. So this is the problem for these guys who are less experienced at the game. Their problem obviously is positional play, but again, that's not to be critical, that's just the fact that they haven't played the game long enough, and there's a lot of learning to be done in Virtual Pool 4, and as long as these guys stick at it, they will gain more knowledge. And the one way to gain more knowledge is to watch and to play. Now, I don't think that 3 passes the 4, so we're just looking at playing some sort of decent safety here. Maybe try and tuck the cue ball over behind a 9. Well, he's went for the pot and it's gone in. And these are the kind of things that Smaoray does. I mean, he's potted a ball there. It was a difficult cut shot. Got his partner on the 4. Let's see what they can do. Don't forget, Ripdash and Smaoray are already 1 rack to 0 down, so this would be a good one to tie the match up. And they've got to clear the table. Just take your time. Don't do anything silly. This is an easy run out, and this is a one that could cause a problem because there is that little bit of an angle on it. Just needs to focus in the pot. Doesn't need to worry about the cue ball. Cue ball's going to be on the 7 as long as he doesn't hit it too hard. Needs to be rolled in sort of dead weight. And it goes. Now this is where Smaoray can get it wrong. If he just hits it firm enough, the cue ball will go up the table, and that's sort of in no man's land again. This is where Smaoray does struggle. His positional play is what's letting him down. He's got his partner on the 8, but it isn't ideal, and it puts pressure on his partner. But again, shouldn't be any problem in getting on the 9 ball, just needs to focus on this, give it 100%. And in it goes, right in the middle of the pocket. And Smaoray just going to finish off this, and that was well done. And you see what happens when you do concentrate, but Smaoray is just the one that's struggling a wee bit so far with his positional play, and that one major factor, if he improves that over the time, then he'll become a much better player. So no luck on the break, a dry break, and again these balls are sitting very nicely indeed, nothing tied up, every ball's got a pocket, and let's see what Brainfellout and Jezdev can do. And that's just a wee bit short, but this is where Jezdev needs to be careful. I think he's drawing the cue ball. Well, no, he's let it run, and that's what you didn't want to do, because this was the obvious thing that could happen. He's going to hook himself. Yep, he's hooked him behind the 9, and that's not well thought out. The cue ball's natural path was going towards these balls, and the one thing you don't want to do is hit it at such a pace that you're going to do that. Well, that's a good jump. Now this cue ball needs to slow down. Well, they're on the 5. It's going to be tough to get on the 6. He needs to run through with a bit of left hand spin to come round and out. That would be the way to play it, I would imagine, but I don't know what he's got in mind. Well, he's playing it soft. And again, it's sort of in between. Let's look at it from this side. Yeah, it's an in between shot now. Brainfellout only really has one option. He's got to take it into the middle, because that'll get the cue ball somewhere up the table to give his partner some sort of shot on the 7. And again we're into the extension, and it's only 15 seconds, so he needs to get a move on. And that was a good shot. Needs a bit of luck here. That's unfortunate. And that's now giving Smaoray and his partner Ripdash a golden opportunity for this. And Smaoray, now that's a wee bit straight now. Ripdash just needs to roll this in and leave Smaoray that shot into the middle or the top left hand corner pocket. He doesn't want to try and do anything spectacular with the cue ball, because this 8 ball is too straight. And that was a sensible shot. Let's see what the line is into this middle. Just needs to hit it to the far jaw and it should go in. Well, that's fine. Well, we've now got Ripdash and Smaoray into the lead. And just remember, that all came about from just a poor positional shot by their opponents. It gave up the table. And again, we've got a nice break, but a dry break. that's going to bank in. Oh, very close. I think they might. Oh, you can see the edge of it. That's again just a wee bit weak in pace. Cue ball needed to be up the table a bit more to make this a bit more comfortable for ripdash, and the cue ball again is going to be heading up towards the 3. It might be in a line to collide with that 7, and it depends what he puts on the cue ball. But I think to make the potting angle, this cue ball is going to be close to the 7. Well, he's tried it into the far corner, but he's got away with it. Now, what would the shot be here? I would try cutting this 2 ball to the left rail and in behind the 3 and bringing the cue ball back down to the bottom of the table here. That's what I'd be doing. Well, that's pretty good. Let's see it from this end. Well, you can see the 2. Well, I don't know what Smaoray tried there, but it certainly didn't work. And jezdev has got to do a fair bit with the cue ball here. Got the spin on it, it's spinning up nicely for the 3. Again, ideally the cue ball needs to be down the bottom of the table here to make this simpler, or he just needs to roll through between the 5 and the 7. Depends what he wants to do for his partner. He's took the second option, and it's just a roll in the 4, a roll in the 5, and the 6 ball's hanging over the top right hand corner, so this looks good. But the crucial shot is going to be from that 6 on the 7. Because remember that jezdev and Brainfellout just need to get to the 8 ball to win the rack. They don't need to worry about the 9. And that looks okay. He's got an angle on that 7. He needs to hit it nice and soft though. Doesn't want to let the cue ball to start running too much. And he stunned it in, and that was well played. And that gives jezdev an easy 8 ball to tie the match up. And in goes the 8. And we're now all square at 2 racks all. And Brainfellout to break this time. And in goes the 7 ball. So at last we've got a ball and a break. How does that 1 ball look? Well, he's got no shot on it. And as long as it keeps running, well, that's pretty good. He's got the cover. And what's ripdash thinking about? Doesn't want to push this 1 down towards the 9. That wouldn't be a good idea. Maybe try and bank it across twice between the 5 and the 2. And send it onto the bottom rail. Don't you think you can do that? Well, we had to spin it round. How does that look? Well, you can see enough of it, I think, to try and pot it. It's not easy though. Well, in goes the one. He's left it a bit short here. This is a nasty cut that Jezdev's got in the two. Now, will he go for it, or is he going to think a bit of safety? Let's see. Because now we've got a 4-9 ball combo set up there. There's a bit of distance obviously between them. I don't think the 4 ball passes the 9. It certainly doesn't. But anyway, the safety's not worked out. And this is Smaoray and ripdash's chance to steal this rack. Now, is ripdash thinking about leaving this 4-9 combo? It looks like it. He's going to try and stop the cue ball. And in goes the 3, and well, I don't think you could ask for a much better positional shot there, because he's sitting staring that right down the barrel and he's missed the combo. And maybe Smaoray just needed to take a wee bit more time to line that up. Well, this is a bit of a hit and hope. He's going to try and kick the 4 in, but he's more interested in trying to keep this safe, which it looks as if he's done it. But I wonder if ripdash is going to try and bank this 4 onto the 9. No, he's certainly not going to do that. He's going to try and play it safe. He needs to slow down. He's overhit it. Well, I'm assuming that had a lot of spin on it to hold for the 5. So again, Smaoray and ripdash have got a good chance, but Smaoray's well overcut the 4, but got second prize. And now it's getting a wee bit untidy, this rack. I think Smaoray's just rushing his shots. He's in too much of a hurry half the time. Just needs to take his time. Use your shot clock, that's what it's there for. And ripdash tucks the cue ball nicely in behind the 5. And now pressure's on jezdev. He needs to get a kick, and he needs to hopefully get it safe for his point of view. And one thing he doesn't want to do is to move that 6 ball, because if he misses a 4 but somehow moves that 6 ball out, it makes it a lot easier for their opponents to run out. Well, that's going to be ball in hand. No rail hit after the connection with the 4 ball, but not a lot on. Smaoray's going to try a combo, which he's got, and that went in quite well. However, it's not easy for ripdash. He's tucked right on the rail with this 4, and it's very close, and this is tough to keep to the rail. Got to get a clean hit to keep it hugging that rail down into that corner pocket. Well, that's the problem you have. Just hit the point of that middle pocket. But they might have got away with it. You never know. It looks a good bank though, this 4 ball. Well, he's went for the cut and he's got it, and that's a nice kiss off the point this time. And again, jezdev just needs to concentrate and getting the 5 in, no worry about the cue ball. And he's overcut that, and Smaoray and ripdash can breathe a sigh of relief again. And I think somehow Smaoray's going to try and bank this. No. Decided on the safety, a bit of tip tapping. And Brainfellout's probably got no option other than to do the same thing. And somebody's got to take the initiative, and maybe ripdash will, because again he's got the chance of a bank on, either to the middle pocket or to the corner. Somebody's got to be brave enough to go for it. Well, if that slows up, that's a pretty good attempt, but I think it's peeking out enough yet. And this looks to be the conclusion of the 5th rack. Brainfellout just needed to pot the 8th, so they now go back into the lead by 3 racks to 2. And that was a soft break. Balls are all clustered down here at the bottom half of the table. No shot in the 1. Now again, Brainfellout needs to think. He needs to think wisely here, because he's going to try and kick this 1, and if he completely misses it, which the odds are he's going to do, he's going to leave a fairly easy 1-9 combo. So he needs to be thinking a bit more clever than trying to kick this 1 ball. A deliberate foul and move that 9 ball out the way would have been my choice, and as it is, he sacrificed ball in hand. He's scratched anyway, but ripdash will just get the cue ball down there and line up the 1-9 combo. That was a poor choice of shot there. You've got to think ahead here, and that's just sacrificed a rack. When you have a not too easy kick, and when you see that the 1 is adjacent to the 9, you really must play the deliberate foul and concede ball in hand and take your chance, because that would have been probably the better bet in that rack. But as it is, it's all over now. Ripdash and Smaoray have tied the match up, but that's maybe something for these guys to think about in the future when it comes down to this kind of Scotch double stuff, and especially when you see the lay of the table. Look at the way the balls are and what's likely to happen. And what was likely to happen there is he was going to miss the 1, and he was going to give up ball in hand, which he did, and he was going to leave them that 1-9 combo, which they did also. And that's not a good shot, although I think the 3 does still cut in, but the cue ball's running all over the place here. He needs to watch he doesn't kiss in off that 7. Well, decided on the safety, and it's sort of okay, but there is a chance. Well, that, again, I would have to ask jezdev what he tried there, because it's given another clear-cut opportunity for his opponents. So Smaoray needs to get the cue ball into the open on the right hand side of the table. That's the objective here. And he's managed to do that, although the cue ball's running a bit more than he would want. Now, this cue ball is going to hit the 9. What ripdash should do is just drop the 5 ball in dead weight. The cue ball's going to kiss the 9. They're going to be on the 6 ball. However, it's dead straight, and Smaorays are going to have to thump this 6 ball in and hopefully get some draw in the cue ball and get it up this bottom end of the table. And he's tried to force it through, and he's going to scratch as well. But that's the problem with Virtual Pool 4. When you try and force balls in these pockets, if they're slightly offline, they're just not going to go in, and that's probably gifted this rack to Brainfellout and jezdev, because they just have to get this 6 and get on to that. Oh sorry, the 8 ball's gone. What am I thinking about? The 8 ball's gone, so they now have to pot the 8 and the 9. Sorry, the 7 and the 9. I'll get it right sooner or later. So once they're... oh, that's a bad one. But once their other money ball has disappeared, which the 8 ball has, it then forces them to have to clear the table. But that was a poor one on the 7. And is ripdash going for the bank? Is he going for the cut? The bank looks very likely, but he's overhit that. Where's the 7 going? You hit that far too hard. You've got to hit them a nice even pace to let the cue ball, let the object ball run and take the angle to go at the pocket. Well, that's untidy, but one way or another, it looks like Brainfellout and jezdev are going to win this rack. So in goes the 9, and Brainfellout and jezdev go back into the lead. And with a break at that pace, you're going to be very unlikely to get a ball in the break. We've also got balls clustered here, the 2 and the 3 and the 9 and the 4, so there's some work to be done here before anybody's going to win this rack. And jezdev just going to be able to kick this one. Well, that's safe. And what does ripdash do? Well, I'm sure he tempted the bank again, but this time, again, it's not worked out, but the 1 ball's left out in the open. And probably, after this shot, jezdev's more than likely just going to be playing a safety off this 2 ball. Oh, well, he's managed to get the combo. In goes the 3, and he's finished on the 2. Now, does that 4 pass the 9 ball this way? No, it doesn't. So the only pocket it goes into is that top right pocket as we look, and that middle. So let's see how they work this out. There is an angle to come over behind the 4 off this 2. Well, he got that angle, he got the second part of that right, but missed the two. Well, let's have a look. Well, he can't play any combo bank on the 9 because the 5's blocking that path, and the 8, sorry, that 7's blocking the middle pocket as well, so just looking to keep it safe. I think he's left the combo. Yeah, the angle that he had to make that combo meant the 4 was always going to go to the right rail. So Brainfellout is probably going to go for the bank in this as well, and bring the cue ball around for this 5. The bank looks good to me. Got to go for it. Well, that didn't take the angle at all, and this is another golden opportunity for Smaoray and ripdash. And this is the crucial shot, getting from the 5 to that 6. Now how's he going to do it? Because it's going to be blocked obviously into that top left, so he needs to get the cue ball up the table to leave Smaoray on the 6 into the middle, or, well, again, rushing into the shot, but I think he's got away with it, has he? Yes, he has, and that's a bit fortunate, because that was again a poor shot there. Well, jezdev could see an edge, and he's managed to get the hit, and he's managed to get it reasonably safe. Now this is an opportunity to send a cue ball up behind the 8. Just come off the left hand edge of the 5, send the 5 off the side rail down to the bottom rail. But Smaoray has lashed out at an ambitious bank, because if you look at it, he's not left his partner a shot in the 6 had he got it, so got to play a bit wiser. In goes the 5, and this has got to go into the middle pocket, and it just slows up. Well, again, this 8 is going into the blind pocket, so he's not looking at the pocket, he's looking at the rail here, so he's got to take his time. But in it goes. And remember, all I needed was the 8 ball, so that's now a clear lead for jezdev and Brainfellout. They lead by 5 racks to 3. I never looked to see what jezdev was using as a break. I don't think he's got a break cue. Maybe he's using a house cue to break, which is why it's a weak break. I need to look at him breaking. I never noticed the cue. I'll watch it in the replay. But they did get a ball in the break this time though, but no shot in the 1, so it looks like he's pushing somewhere, and somewhere where he doesn't leave them an opportunity to make an easy safe. Well, that wasn't the best push out, because that's gifted ripdash an opportunity to tuck them up here. Just try and send that 1 between the 3 and the 5. Can you do that? Yeah, you can. And they've nobody to blame but themselves there. Just a poorly thought out push out. You know, that's again conceding control to your opponents. Well, that's worked out alright. I'd be happy with that one. Got the kick, got the rail, and left them nothing. And we've still got the 6 and the 7 tied up. Well, we did have, but that's changed it now. But we've now got the 7 and the 9 tied up. And the 4 is in that collection of balls down there as well. Although they should be able to get on it. Although now, I think Jezdev's got entirely the wrong angle in this 3. So he's going to have to be a bit ambitious with positional play here. He can slam the 3 in, put a lot of right hand spin in the cue ball and draw, send it off the side rail, top rail, side rail, and across to the left towards the 6 ball, and down in this corner to get on the 4. Now that's possible. Well, he's tried it, but didn't get anywhere near enough beef into that shot. And Brainfellout should just be looking at maybe just banking this back up the table and leaving the cue ball behind the 7. And that's fine. So now, with that shot, jezdev and Brainfellout are in control. They're in even more control now that Ripdash has missed a kick. So it's ball in hand. The problem ball, if there is a problem ball, is certainly the 7, because it doesn't pass the 9, so something has to move. Oops. Now this is an opportunity. If Brainfellout draws this 5 in and doesn't go in off, he can leave his partner an angle in the 6 to try and get the cue ball over to disturb that 7 and 9. Well, that's awkward, but in actual fact he still left his partner the angle. Jezdev can put this 6 in and bring the cue ball across to be close to this 7 and 9 hit. Well, not at that pace he won't. Well, in goes the 6. Does that 7 pass the 9? Yeah, it does. I thought that didn't pass the 9 there. Has it been moved? Maybe I just didn't look at it close enough. It certainly does go. I definitely need new glasses. Anyway, this is again a power shot, because I don't think he'll be struggling to draw and hold this cue ball for the 9. He's going to have to run it through. Well, you tell me what Jezdev tried there. I can't work it out whether he tried that was just a bad miss or whether he tried a bank, but anyway he was never going to get his partner on this 9 ball. Smaoray again is going to get second prize, is he? Well, I think he can see enough of that 8. He can see it to bank it. He's got to go for it. What's he trying here? Is he looking at? Oh yeah, he can see the 8 to bank it. He's got to bank it, because remember they only need the 8 ball. Got to go for it. Even a double bank will do it. And that's going to be there. Oh, that's unlucky. Well, this is a lifeline for Ripdash and Smaoray. There could have been 6 racks to 3 behind, but as it is, Smaoray just needs to roll the 9 in to bring the deficit back to just a 1 rack. Well, again, a huge sigh of relief for Ripdash and Smaoray there. And Ripdash breaks off in rack number 10. And once again, we're up with a dry break. And we'll get 5, 7 and 9 clustered up, so there's more work to be done for both teams in this rack. Well, that was not a good shot. No control of the cue ball there, let it run straight through after the shot and into the pocket. But again, in defence of jezdev, this is a player I don't see playing an awful lot, or maybe he is on when I'm not here, but it's just lack of touch, lack of practice more or less. He probably doesn't get enough time to play an awful lot, and that's to be expected. Well, Ripdash, that was not the greatest of positional shots, shall we say. And I don't even know whether this is worth going for this 4-ball, because if he doesn't get the right pace in the cue ball, he's going to hook his partner on this 5. And the cue ball needs to keep going, and it has. He can see the 5, and he can actually use that 9 as a stopper if he just hits this thin enough and bring the cue ball back to this end of the table as we were looking. Just bring the cue ball back to more or less where it is if he can, or somewhere near the middle diamond in that top rail. Needs to be thin though. Well, he's chose the thicker option. Needed a wee bit more pace and he would have got the cover, but that 5 cuts in. But they'll need a lot of luck to get on the 6. Well, he's went for the bank instead. Where's the cue ball going though? Oh dear, disaster. That's disaster, and Smaoray and Ripdash have got to take this chance, and this is a crucial shot, because Samary's problem is the touch to get position for this 7-ball, and it's asking a lot for him to get this right, because the 8-ball is in an awkward place. That's ideally where he wants to put the cue ball after this 6. And so again you see he's just not really sure of what he was doing there, and left Ripdash nothing other than trying to just play a safety, which, well, that's pretty good, because I'm wondering whether he can see enough to pot that. Well, he could, but I think he's cut it too far into the rail. And again, we've got distance between the cue ball and the 7, but there is an angle to get the cue ball over to the left. It needs to keep going. That's perfect. Now, what shot should Ripdash be playing here? Well, he should just be playing a draw. Just slightly below the equator, hit it firm, the cue ball will go over for that 9. But is he going to run through off the bottom rail? Well, this is a sort of no man's land shot again, and again this is where players just don't have the confidence to execute the shot, and it's all down to touch and how your mouse is set, and confidence really. So, and it's all evident with all of these players. They're all, you know, anybody can pot a ball in Virtual Pool 4, but when you reach that next level, you get that positional play side of your game going. That then makes you a much better player. But anyway, doesn't matter, the rack's over. Smaoray banked to 9, and the match is now all square again. And the ball flew in the bottom right hand corner. I thought it was the 4 ball, but it's actually the 5. But unlucky. Smaoray's hooked on the 1. Now again, he's got a push out, so I wouldn't be playing it against the 3 ball. I'd be running down to the bottom of the table here. And a poor push out, because the cut is on here in the 1 ball. You don't want to be giving your opponents opportunities like this. You've got to play much better thought out push outs. It's still a chance. And Brainfellout, well, again, that hadn't worked out. He may well try to have brought the 2 ball into the middle of the table there and sort of parallel with the 3 to leave it safe, but he's fell well short in pace. And ripdash lashing out again, but getting lucky. Although I don't fancy Smaoray's next shot if jezdev gets this safety right. Well, there's an edge of that 1 ball still tucked out there, and that's going to head towards the 7. So Brainfellout just needs to roll the 1 in. Cue ball's going to come out for the 2. It's going to be a distance though. Oh, that was bad. That was a bad shot. Missed that by the country mile. And that's got to give ripdash and Smaoray a bit more confidence. Well, the problem ball is the 4. So now ripdash has got an angle in the 3, but what he's going to do I don't know. He could try and come down to the bottom end of the table, leave Smaoray a shot in the 4 into the middle, but again he's just played a sort of middle of the road, not really quite sure of where I'm going to put the cue ball shot, and it's finished in the worst spot in the table. But all of these sort of poor positional shots are down to the ability to control the cue ball and be in control of your shot, and it only ever comes down through experience. And also getting your mouse to a certain setting that you are confident that you've got control of the cue ball. It's a silly thing to say, but the better players have their mouse dialed in and they have the confidence to play the shots, whereas most of these guys here, they don't. And it's a combination of both. It's a combination of inexperience in how to execute the right shot, and the other one is just that they are all playing with different mice, and whether they've taken a great deal of time to mess about with the adjustments to get it to that stage where you can play a shot at a certain weight and you feel that you've got control of the cue ball. And this is something that I don't think these guys really have yet, but if they stick at it and give it that time and effort, it's something that they will eventually, one day it will happen, they'll get that feel. and they'll have that bit more experience, and they'll become better players. Doesn't happen overnight. Well, the jump worked, but the cue ball jumped straight into the pocket after the 7. So, Brainfellout on the 8, just needs to roll it in, and they're on the hill. Jezdev and Brainfellout lead by 6 racks to 5. They've got the break. Now, let's look at that cue. Yes, he's just using a house cue as a break cue, and that's got absolutely no power in it at all, which is why he's been doing soft breaks all night. And this match has been going for an hour now. We're now just past 9 PM. We started at 8. Is it going to go to a final rack decider? That's the question. I wonder whether he actually played the cut in that 1 ball there. I think he might have played that as a safety to try and send the 1 up the table. But it's gone in, and all his partner could do was try and just push that 2 away to safety, but he hasn't. And Rip can cut this 2 in, and the cue ball's going to become him across for that 3. And that's finished pretty good. There's a slight angle there. Smaoray's going to have to force this in if he's going to try and get that cue ball out. And again, it's in no man's land. He's not hit it hard enough. Although Ripdash can cut this in, it's again into a blind pocket. He's looking straight at the 4, and he's looking nowhere near the pocket, and this is difficult to judge. But he's played that perfectly. That's a nice shot. And this is the problem shot, is getting onto this 6 from the 5. The 5's a bit straight, there is a slight angle, and this is a bit of a hit and hope as to whether he's going to get his partner on this 6. Well, that's a nice kiss off the jaw. Now, he's got him hooked. He didn't get enough luck in it there. So all Ripdash can do, my advice here would be kick this off that side rail, put amp on it, and bash it as hard as you can and hope that you get it and you bank the 6 in. And I think we might have a connection problem here. I think Ripdash is maybe losing his connection. It looks very likely. Yeah, I think the message is going to come up in a second or two that he's lost connection. Yeah, there we go. Ripdash being in Sri Lanka, some of the internet connections in the countries around the world aren't always the best, and they're not as stable, but unless he's an absolute electrical failure, he should be back in a minute or 2. And there he is. So he's had enough time to think out his shot. Now he needs to remember that his extension is gone. If that slows down, that's perfect. Well, he'll be happy with that. And that's a good kick, and a good kick safe as well. And this might make a match of it yet, because he's got to get a bit of luck here to keep this safe. Well, this is really going to put pressure on Smaoray. Is he going to have enough nerve to try and cut this 6, or is he going to bang at it and hope he knocks a 9 in? Let's see what he does. And he needs to watch the cue ball. Well, he's overcut it. And, oh. Well, the only thing that's saving their necks here is the position from the 6 to the 7. And ripdash is gone again. Well, he was okay in the whole of the match right up to this point, and now he's starting to have problems. And in he comes. He might not get another shot in this rack if this shot works out. They might have played their last shot in the match for that matter. Jezdev needs to hurry up. Well, I'm surprised that wasn't. Maybe it was because of the lost connection, but it looked as if he'd timed out there. Well, that hasn't worked out. And Brainfellout, what does he do? Well, if I was sitting in 6 and only waiting in the 7 ball, I'd be banking it. But he needs a 7 and the 8, that's the problem, and he's banked it, and that needs to keep going if he's going to get the cover. Let's have a look. Well, that's worked out okay, and all that ripdash has got is a jump or a kick. Or can you see the edge of it? Let's have a look down the cue. Well, no, you can't really see anything of that at all. So we're lining up the jump. He's got to get this right and needs to hope that he gets it safe. And that's going close to the 9. Well, it's all about position on the 8. 7's got to go in. Where's the cue ball going to go though? Oh, well, the 8 ball does cut, but there's an in off into that right hand middle. The in off is on. But they only need the 8 ball for the match, so he's got to go for it. And in goes the 8, cue ball's going safe, and Brainfellout and jezdev win the match by 7 racks to 5. And that means that Smaoray and ripdash go over to the 1 loss side. Let's have a quick look at the bracket if I can find it. Let's go. And we'll see whether they've got an opponent waiting for them. Well, Smaoray and ripdash are on the 1 loss side now, and they're still waiting on their opponent, because Brainfellout and jezdev now go on to play Ladyhawk and Koyol, and Bill and Romario are playing Chimpy and Smiddy, and Chimpy and Smiddy are leading by 5 racks to 3.